I'm Allegra, the marketing medulla, business coach, marketing strategist, business analyst. And I love what I do when it comes to working with women entrepreneurs, because mainly we have a lot of setbacks when it comes to business. And there are a lot of unfair principles happening out there. So I want to make sure that we break through those things and we can get the resources we need. But it starts with your intention as a person and working on yourself. And that's where Emma really comes into play. So Emma, go ahead. I'll let you introduce yourself.
My name is Emma Lyons, like Allegra said, and I specialize in working with especially female entrepreneurs, and I help them with the inner glitches that they have to having the success and making the money that they want. Because I've noticed in my own journey, and also in the hundreds of people now that I've worked with, that what really stops people, particularly women, it's not about the strategy and the tools and all that stuff that we get hung up on. It's actually about the inner stuff that causes us to sabotage and feel like an imposter and not receive the money and push away the clients so that we don't thrive, and then we have to go back and do something we don't love. So this is about, getting out and expressing your gifts and receiving abundantly for it. So this is a big deal.
It is a big deal. And I think that is so important because we talked yesterday a little bit about the fact that sometimes we be really, really good at what we do. Like, actually, most of the time that's the case. We're really good at what we do. But if we don't value ourselves enough, or we don't understand, where we're lacking that value, then we end up sabotaging our success in our personal lives and our business. And I think we've seen that over time, especially for me, because I work with different women in different capacities, like generationally. I've noticed that over time, like depending on the generation that you're in, how you think about your value. And when it comes down to business, one of the biggest exchanges of value is that sell. Like when you go out and you promote yourself, you talk about the business and you say, hey, like, listen, like, this is what I have to offer into the world. People are waiting for you. Like, there are people that are actually waiting right now in pain. And they're like, I need an Emma. I need an Allegra. I need an Ariana, right? There are people that are out there that just like are really in pain right now. And in order for us to be able to allow them to receive from us, we have to be able to love ourselves enough to receive as well. So there's a big, I think, exchange there that we're not really always embracing, right? Because we have to understand that there is a block. You're not broke. You're blocked. Go ahead.
Well,
you're about to say something.
people think they're broken. I know I did for a long time because I was that person. I started out 10 years ago. I found this work. I was doing something completely different. I realized I didn't want to do that anymore. I was going to be a lawyer. And then I found this work, really good at it, knew I was really good at it. Other people told me I was really good at it. Other people were getting great results. And then when it became time to, putting myself out there, making sales and stuff, I just swallowed it. I didn't do it. I couldn't do it. I was like totally, totally stuck. And it wasn't because I wasn't talented at what I did. It was because I didn't really believe in myself, and I had that conflict. Part of me wanted to move forward, and there was a part of me that was scared of being visible. That was really it. I had massive blocks around being visible. I remember the first time I showed up did a live on Facebook. Oh my God, it was awful. I was so nervous and, I was just afraid of being visible. So, it's really, really hard to be successful in your business when you've got this huge part of yourself that's actually terrified of being seen. This is like the push-pull, and the deeper part of you is the part that's going to win, because that's the part that's all about survival. So for me, that in part that wanted to be invisible kept winning out, because that's like the child inside of me who's terrified and wants to be alive. And making a few extra bucks does not trump that, unfortunately. So I had to go back and address that part of me and work through that fear so that I could show up and really be myself when I show up on social media or in person or wherever I am in front of clients. Because, when I started out for a long time, I was totally incapable of doing it. I was incapable of, selling myself, making an offer, all of that was really terrifying for me.
I think it's terrifying to a lot of people who've never done it. I had experience in sales that which boosted my confidence in business. So, luckily, because I know you say you were a lawyer and you were going to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And See, this is one thing I think we have to kind of debunk the myths that just because you have, you're a high achiever, that you don't have limiting beliefs about yourself.
No. Yeah, I would love to debunk that one. Absolutely. Even people on six figures, people starting out, we have a thing called a money ceiling. This is how much money it's safe for us to get, right? For it's safe for us to make. And people who are doing really well in their business, they get stuck on six figures. And no matter how hard they work, how hard they try, how hard they hustle, how many amazing coaches like Allegra are, all the other amazing coaches out there, they do in courses, nothing works. And it's because deep down inside, there's a part of them that's actually terrified of being more visible, making more money. Who am I to do that? I don't deserve that. What are my friends going to think? So absolutely, we all have limiting beliefs, every single one. So if you're realizing that you have money beliefs, welcome to, join that. Welcome to the human race, because we all do. I have, everyone does. And when you start recognizing that, that gives you the power to start working through these things and show up in a more powerful way.
You're so right, Emma. And it's funny because when my first experience with Emma, I saw Emma on a live. So the whole thing about showing up is so important. And if
Oh
you
my
are
God.
showing up, right, if you're showing up and you're really able to be present, like a lot of people don't really want to receive whatever it is that they're going to receive when they show up. So they're not open to that
Yeah,
portal of access.
yeah.
And I know that when I saw you, I was like, oh my God, like everything that she was saying, I was like, yep, perfectly good. That's right. And it made me realize that as women, we just have not had enough background in education around receiving. Like when we talk about sales is just a skill set. Like you can learn sales like you learn anything else. It is not hard, okay? Sales is actually just a conversation. It's just that when you structure it and you structure it in a way where you can, model it so more people can have the same sales conversation, that's where people take what someone else is saying and then now it becomes salesy because you're not having the conversation anymore. You're just following someone else's script. But it
Yeah.
really, at the bottom line of it, is a conversation. And so in order to have a sales conversation, you got to be willing to receive in that moment anyone's objections and overcome them, right? Because when people tell you, oh yeah, I used that before, oh, I don't think that works, or no, I don't have the money right now, right? Like in sales conversations, you have to learn how to have the conversation. If you have a conversation, someone says something, you respond. And then at the end of the conversation, you both know the conversation is done. Now, a lot of times what we do is we don't even complete the conversation. We're like, yeah, this is what it is and this is what it is. So we're just talking the whole time. Someone's listening. Have you ever had a one-sided conversation? At the end of that conversation, the person that's listening is like, all right, well,
Let
let's talk and sit
me
here.
think about that. Let me think about that. Let me think about that. I'll get back to you. Yeah, absolutely. And you're so right, Allegra. It's not just about learning the script. So many people get hung up on that. Like, I was just working with someone the other day, and she had spent a ton of money on all these courses about how to promote herself and the script, but she was afraid of stepping up and actually doing it and asking for the sale. So, all that money and all that expense and all the great words she was saying wasn't getting her any results because she wasn't making that offer for people to say yes to. And that's a great point as well. When you're having that sales conversation, it's not just about going through the motions. A lot of people think that. It's actually about standing behind the quality of what you're offering. And this is especially true. It's especially difficult if you're providing the service or the product that you're selling, because it is so much easier it's easier for me to sell yours. I could sell your stuff, Allegra,
Oh, yeah.
but it's harder for me to sell myself.
Mm-hmm.
It just is because we have this kind of inbuilt self-doubt and who am I to do that and stuff. And if I was selling Allegra's service, I would totally be behind that and I could really stand behind the value of it. But when it comes to selling ourselves, this is when we struggle because we're not actually fully standing behind the value. We doubt our own value. And that's where we've got to start. And that, unfortunately, is not where most people start. People start on, the right words to say, getting the words exactly right. And I can't, I've noticed this so often that, you know, I could be like reading out the perfect script that's been, you know, checked by my sales coach, whatever. It doesn't do anything. It's all about the energy that I bring to it. You know, it's when I am really enthusiastic, those times, say on Clubhouse or wherever, where I'm like just totally excited about what I'm doing and I'm just delivering and I'm speaking from the heart. I'm not reading a script. I'm just speaking from my heart totally. And I've got loads of like feedback from that, people reaching out to me. So it's not about what you do. It's about the energy that you bring to it. And I think that's where a lot of people fall down when it comes to sales, because they're bringing this kind of self-doubt vibe, even if it's not conscious, even if you're a person at the other side, even if you're feeling quite confident, if you've got these subconscious doubts back there, you know, these things sub-communicate to your potential client. And they might not know what exactly it is that's kind of making them, let me think about that. But it's that doubt that's really getting in the way, or you're not stepping up and making the offer assertively enough. And that all comes from standing in your own value, really.
Yeah. You know, you brought me back to when I began my first business, and I remember a customer telling me that they would have bought my services if I would have confidently told them what it was specifically, right? Because I was literally just rumbling. Like I was like, yeah, and you know, you can do
Oh
this,
yeah.
because I didn't want to close the sale. Because I didn't want to close the
Yeah.
sale. I did.
Oh my
I
God.
was
Yeah.
like,
I
if I
totally get that. You know,
like if I tell the
if I
person,
close the sale, they're going to actually expect something from me, and I'm not going to be able to deliver it. I totally remember that. I've definitely sabotaged sales like that. I've been afraid, oh my God, they're going to be disappointed, or they've kind of said yes, but then I kind of back away. I've totally done that. So, you know, I'm speaking from the field as well. I know what this stuff feels like, and it really sucks. Because I don't know about you, Allegra, but you know, when I found myself doing those things, I felt terrible. I felt
yeah,
terrible. I felt like a failure. I felt like I can't do this. You know, it reinforced all that self-doubt and who am I to be doing this? And, you know, just made me flagellate myself even more. And that
mm-hmm.
obviously makes it harder for you to step forward again. So
Same.
that's why I'm such a big advocate for dealing with this stuff from the get-go,
Well, I
rather
think it's
than, you know,
so important too, because when we were talking before, I think it was right at the time where it was Women's History Month, put it like that. And I was doing research as to like why we have so many blocks as women, because the men that I've known in my life, y'all, like they don't have a problem with asking for money or, you know,
no,
standing up for themselves or being confident. And so
not
it always makes me
so much.
feel right. Yeah, not so much. I mean, we all have our own issues, but
Yeah, of
it just
course.
it just makes you feel like what's the problem then? And when I looked at our history, we just have not been like, we're still in this process of learning how to receive, because we've been blocked for so long. Like when I looked at the fact that we couldn't even have our own accounts at one time to manage our own money, that we couldn't even take maternity leave with pay, or maternity leave period. Like you had to like you know what I'm saying, like you either worked or you didn't. And there was other things, like I mean there was sports we couldn't be in, marathons we couldn't run. Like there's a lot of things that we just had limitations around. So what came up for me, Emma, too, was that, you know, years and years, just like slavery, right? Like if you don't work on what has already happened to reverse that, like, and I'm talking about every day, which means that having someone, and this is why this work is so important with Emma, because for me as a business coach, I have to, I cannot work with people with limiting beliefs and who are not open, because you will never ask for the sell. You will never show up on the live. You will write down the stuff in the business plan, but you won't actively do it consistently. You'll do it for like a week and then you'll stop. And what happens is that a lot of times, to your point, Emma, is because we don't really know how to receive, because we've just never had it before. Like we've never had it before. Like if nobody's ever gave you, I remember I received my first, what was it? It was a grant I received. Well, how much was that grant? It had been like maybe 10,000 or 15,000. I can't remember what it was, but I remember I received it and I was like, I'm not even worthy of this money. Like it was
Oh
weird.
yeah.
It was
Yeah,
very
yeah. It
weird
freaks
for
you
me.
out the first time someone pays you a lot of money. You're like, you start questioning yourself as well, you know? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I talk about this all the time. I work primarily with women, and you know, this is also important for people of color and, minorities and things, because we have that legacy of, being, in the minority group who weren't successful or were oppressed in some way. We have that history, we have that legacy. And even as women, living memory, women weren't allowed to open bank accounts unless they had their husband or their father with them. This is why women's clothing generally doesn't have pockets, still, because it's not a woman's place to deal with that kind of stuff. And still, in marriages, like a lot of women are still in that place. They don't leave their husband because they're worried about the money, because their husband is the one who deals with all of that. So I'm really all about empowering women to take back our power with money and with receiving, because like you say, money is just a symbol of receiving, and receiving, appreciating ourselves. And yeah, it's so critical. Money blocks are not a little thing. They're affecting every single area of your life. How much love you're receiving, how much of every single area of your life. It's this money is a symbol for all of that. And when you work on the roots of these things, it changes across the board. I've seen people, when I work with them on these issues, things open up in their love life. They start dating, they find a partner and start having juicy relationships where it was kind of the Sahara Desert before. Sharing your gifts with the world. This is how we change the world. We change the world not by going out there and changing everyone else, but you change yourself and you model and embody that for everyone else, and that's how we change the world. It's from the grassroots the world is going to change.
That is powerful. When you said it has to be an even exchange, like if you give, but you don't open yourself up to receive, that unbalanced
Oh
position
my
that
God,
you
it's
have.
so unbalanced. Yeah,
I see
that's
so many people
also
doing
that's
that right now.
so many people. I mean, I've been there. I know what that feels like. It's hard to keep going. You can only do that for so long, to be honest. And also it comes from such a place of lack, because we are actually giving. We think we're being all altruistic and I want to help
Yeah,
this person, I want to give,
yeah.
but actually we're giving it because we want something in return, right? Because we're feeling empty inside. So it's not actually that you being so selfless. You want that appreciation. You want to feel you're important enough that you're making an impact. So it's not so selfless as we think at all. You're
Emma,
doing that for you.
what?
Yeah. Yeah, we do that for ourselves. This is what codependency is.
So
We do
here's the
that for ourselves.
see, and I think that that's so important because we have, oh man, that's so big. So here's what I don't like about this thing here about our mindset around being blocked is that we deserve so much more, especially as women. Like, I mean, we literally birthed the entire world, y'all. Like, without us, it wouldn't be. So to not be able to receive is such a crisis, and
It is.
well,
It's a
it's
crisis.
really bad. And I think that and here's what the fact that we have the power to change that is for me empowering. But what makes me sad is that people don't want to change it or they don't know how. And
Yeah.
and when you get into a position like when you're in this live, right? And this is why I love these lives and in the live streams that we do on LinkedIn and YouTube, Facebook. Y'all gotta watch us over there. We gotta be able to understand like what it looks like to be open to consistently receiving the same way we're consistently giving. Because when you mention that the way we give because we want something in return, that just blew my freaking mind. Like it is
Yeah.
exactly this exactly what is happening. I know so many women and myself as well that like I'm talking about like, yeah, I support this and I'm giving the shirt off my back. Like I'm not bragging about it, but I'm just like I'm actually feeling good about it, like I'm doing something for the world.
And also we want to be a martyr. We want to feel like, oh, I'm just giving everything to someone else. We kind of I definitely had that martyr vibe going on. And I know lots of women do carry that too. You've got to sacrifice yourself for other people. And that's not the way. That's not the way. You don't have to killing yourself and being broke doesn't help anyone. No, you can't be broke enough to help the people who are broke out there. You can't. It's impossible. You can't be sick enough to help people who are sick out there. You can't do that. And that's what we try to do. We try to go down to the level of the people that we want to, quote, help. But really, the best way to help them is to rise and help from there. But you've got to, raise your hand and say you want more and be, ready to break out of that cycle and get the support. I always say this. I tried to do it on my own for the longest time, and it just didn't work, And even now, with all of this stuff, I know about this stuff, and I'm an expert in this. I think it's fair to say I'm an expert in this self-sabotage because I've done it for so long and I've worked with so many people. I know exactly what goes on with people and what's going on in their brains. I still need help sometimes myself because if I'm in it, I can't see it. I need help from the outside too. And I think that kind of self-reliance part, like the boss babe, I have to do everything on my own. It can be quite toxic too. And also this whole pulling other women down thing. I mean, it's coming from a very toxic place as well. This is the competitive culture. Whereas if we just rise, we can support other people in rising. We don't have to be the crab in the bucket trying to pull everyone else down. We can get out of that bucket and support other people in doing that too.
Well, I think it's also a reflection of how we feel about ourselves, like you're saying. Realizing that you have bad mindset and bad thinking, bad behaviors that come from your mom or your grandma or your dad or anyone, right? Like I felt like it was a little guilt around that. Like, how dare I? You know what I'm saying? Like, try and change this because I saw my mom, my grandmother sacrificing this, what they did. But
Yeah.
honestly, once I got, like, when you talk about get the support you need, that's why it's important because you have to have a different projection of what, you know, like it looks like to actually value yourself. Because for my entire life, all I saw was people give, 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 give. And when it came down to receiving, it was like, oh no, you go ahead. No, it's okay. I'm fine. Right. So, so in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I don't need anything, but I can give. Right. Because I'm always blessed. I always have more than enough. But honestly, the truth was I didn't always have more than enough, And so it comes from a place of like, sometimes you experience guilt. And I think we talked about that, where you're
Yeah.
like, okay, if I change how I think and who I am, then how will that separate me from my identity with my family and who I thought I was? And when
That's a
I
huge one as
actually,
well. Yeah.
yeah, when I came to like the identity crisis, yeah, let me tell you, it shook my entire world. Like, this is not just about money. This is like, who am I? And what do I want?
Exactly. This is about who you are. This is about your identity as a human being. Because you don't make the money that you want to make. We don't become what we want. We become what we're matched to, what we are, what we're vibrating for. And lots of people, we're out there vibrating. I'm not enough. There's not enough. It's that scarcity, and we keep getting that. It's a feedback loop, and then we feel stuck. And it's a feedback loop. So you've got to break that pattern. And just like you said, Allegra, if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting the same results that you've always gotten. That's just, and I think there is this kind of magical thinking that we can get into. Oh, I'll just start doing this, and everything will click into place and work. But you've got to do that inner work first. Nothing can replace that. Even the best strategies, and it's not exactly a magic pill. It's kind of like you chew on it and you deepen into your abundance.
It's a
The more
vitamin
you,
to take every
yeah,
day.
it's like a vitamin. You have to take that every day. I like that. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and here's what I want to honor, the fact that we have to be graceful with, like, when we find out that there's something off about our life and our experiences, it's okay. Like, don't beat yourself up. When I realized that I didn't have to do it alone, like, you get the support based on where you believe you need the help. So if you're experiencing a problem with receiving, like, that's why we say reach out to Emma, because this is going to get you on your feet. It's going to get you moving and understand where the blocks are. And I remember being on a stage, Emma, when we were doing this on Clubhouse, and I think Dr. Al came to stage and he was like, well, I'm just wondering, like, I'm just wondering if I have blocks and if this and if that. And what was so transparent about that moment is that that's what people do really feel. They feel like, I hear you, but how do I know if that's me? Like, how do I know if that's me? And this is how I know when I can tell someone has a block in business. when they post something, whether it's social media, whether it's on a marketing ad somewhere, Google My Business, wherever, and they don't have a call to action and they don't have a sales price. I'm like, you don't want that person to get to the point of actually delivering their money to you, or asking you
Yeah.
a question, or clicking a button to get access to your space. And I'm not talking about like maybe you post and you're just not familiar or not sure about how to market. I'm talking about people that I vetted, people that has been through my trainings, people that have been through my workshops, people that
People
knows
that
the
know how to
business.
do it, but
They
are
know
still
what to
not
do.
doing it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, classic. Because I mean, these we all know what to do. We all have Google. We all have Allegra. Allegra can tell us what to do. But if you've got these blocks, this inner resistance, ain't none of that going to work for you. You are going to be. You're going to. I mean, I talk about three ways, right? That you know that you've got these blocks. Like this is primarily for business people. The first one is that you're doing all the things and nothing's working. You're following all the advice, you're putting everything out there, you're doing every post that they tell you to do, you're showing up on social media, you're burning yourself out, doing everything, and you're getting nothing back. That's classic sign. So that's the burnout. Number two is the procrastinator. That's the person that knows exactly what to do. They're business coaches. They can tell other people exactly what to do. But when it comes to putting those things in action, or maybe they're doing the thousands of dollar program, a month program, and then they're being told what to do, but when it comes to actually doing it, they just can't. They just don't do anything with it. That's classic. And the third one that I talk about is the stopping and starting. So start, things are moving, you're just about to hit your goal, get that 10K, the six figures, or whatever it is for you, get your first 1,000. And just as you're about to get there, like the brakes come on and, something happens, all falls through and back you slide. These are classic signs that you've got some blocks. Not a totally exhaustive list, but those are the kind of main ones that I talk about that people can relate to. These are all of them. If you're doing any or all of those, you've got some blocks, and we all do. So
Mm-hmm.
once you start recognizing them, you can start releasing them. If you're in denial, no one can help you. So
Yeah.
congratulations if you've just had that awareness.
Yeah, please drop your link in the chat, Emma, so we can pin it and people can get in touch with you.
Yeah.
There's just something that you said. Well, everything you said was amazing, because it's true to what you do, and people need this. But we have to be very realistic about, the fact that we want results. Really, we do. We all want results. We all want to be better people. We all want to have what we want. We all want those results. Um, but if we're not really willing to start with ourselves first, and when you were talking about like we like to coach other people, right? Or we like to tell other people what to do, but we don't do it ourselves. That is such a classic. I've done all three of those, Emma. I've had all three of those blocks. Um, and the fact that we're not alone in this means that you don't have to feel bad about it, right? Like everyone experiences some level of blockage. And that's why we say you're never broken, because when you're broken, you feel like you can't get yourself back together. You feel like there's no hope. You feel like, okay, I don't have the right glue. But if you are, just blocked, right? Which we know that's what it is. You can remove those blocks very easily by getting with Emma and just being able to be in a place of receiving. And receiving is such a joy, because it is what we're created to do. Like we are vessels, we are portals. And if we don't open ourselves up to receive and we continue to be blocked, first of all, I don't even think that that is a good way to live. I don't think that that is a healthy way to live. I think that when you are blocked and when you are experiencing things in your life that you're constantly not allowing to be released because you don't receive, then you become sick in your body and your mind. And a
Oh,
lot of times we're
yeah,
very
I'm
ill.
familiar with that one. All too familiar with that one. You do. It's really frustrating. It ruins your confidence. It like picks away your confidence. It reinforces all those negative beliefs. Something wrong with me. And they become stronger and stronger. And then you're like spiraling downwards instead of going up,
Yeah.
So Yeah, it's so important to address these things, and this is the key to the kingdom. Without this stuff, none of the other great stuff is gonna work, unfortunately.
Okay, well, I tried
Um,
to pin your comment. It won't pin, but y'all look and look this calendar link. I want you all to click on that calendar and book your time with Emma. Um, and Soda said that Emma has helped me so much with my blocks. Okay, cool. Soda, talk about it. Leave it in the chat here or after the replay. We would love to hear how Emma has positioned you and helped you and with what. Because a lot of times, we're trying to identify what this looks like for each of us, and it's different for everyone, I'm sure. And just leaving with the mindset of, hey, this is a vitamin pill you have to swallow every day. We're encouraging you to be more intentional about your journey, be more intentional about how you work on yourself. No one is going to save you. You are your own responsibility. And when you realize that, here's the power that you get in return for that awareness. Okay. And one other thing I love about this, the freedom and the love that comes along with that, it is going to give you so much joy, so much peace. And these are things that we talk about all the time. They're like, oh, I just wish I could be happier. Oh, I just wish, like, we're deep down inside wanting these things, but we're not positioning ourselves to be able to receive them. So, Emma, anything that you want to leave us with before we get out of here?
but yeah, reach out to me if you're resonating with what I'm saying here, what we're saying here. Let's have a conversation. The link that I put in there, it's actually, I've been offering this on social media. It's actually for a session. So, and it's like Allegra said, like in 20 minutes, I can totally shift, if you've got a particular block on. So this is an actual session that I'm offering. I have it like a special offer. I don't normally do these things, but it's only $297 for that. So if you've got a specific block, click on that and check that out. It's kind of a special introductory price. It's worth so much more than that. And that would be a great place to start, and then you'll see how that affects the rest of your business and impacts you in other areas of your life moving forward, because this really is the key to everything, and it is all about receiving. It's not about money, and it's your job to change that. So my encouragement to you is to make that your job, rather than all this pushing and hustling to make your business work. Work on you first, because without you there ain't no business.
Period. We can end right on that note.
You first, because without you there ain't no business.
Period. We can end right on that note.
Yeah, I think that's it. Really drop the mic here.
Thank you, Emma. All right, so
Yeah.
let's get out of
Thanks,
here.
Allegra.
And
Thanks, everyone.
thank you,
Thanks,
Soda. Thank you,
Soda,
Adrian,
for
for joining.
joining.
Awesome.
Oh, Soda is just saying she helped me, that she's saying that I helped her realize I still had issues saying no, and helped me realize why it's on her. Yeah, so Soda and I, Holly and I, we did. I actually worked with her, so you can go. I'm gonna download that and we're gonna edit it up, but you can see what a session looks like. And again, for Soda, probably the actual healing part, it was probably about 20 minutes. So you'll get an idea of how quickly it can work. People